Nations across the world are investing in drone capabilities, both flying and ambulatory. China has recently developed a combination of both, but how does it work? Where are they going to use it? And how has the US responded to the latest in Chinese drone construction? Without wasting any more time, let's get into the video. First off, what are these new drones? These hounds of war or war dogs that can descend from the sky have gone viral. An octocopter drone dropping off a robotic dog on a rooftop is turning heads, and not just because of the awesome pilot coordination and impressive tech necessary to pull that off without breaking either device. The Robodog unfolds itself to reveal it's mounting an absolutely massive armament for the size of its body. The video took off on popular Chinese social media app Weibo and shows the Chinese defense contractor Bloodwing's drone rigging a modified Chinese QBB-97 light machine gun, or designation Type 95 LGM in the United States. This is far from the first time military contractors have put guns on robot dogs. Military applications have always been at the forefront of consideration for robotics funding, and military contractors are the keenest to heavily invest in the technology. This is a significant upgrade in firepower compared to the average gun they mount at ranges, but this wasn't set up and developed at a range, it was dropped on a rooftop. This pairing shows how remote areas could rapidly receive drone-mounted support weapons and offers a variety of military and police opportunities. Thanks to the size and rapid movement of the drones, they are ideal for inserting behind enemy lines, and because they're not people, they can be sent into civilian-filled areas and hold their fire if they cannot get a clear shot on a confirmed hostile, even if it's destroyed in the process. So we've got two known types of drones operating at a greater capacity than seen before outside military sci-fi. But with these deployments of novel weapons and weapons platforms, there are serious ethical and moral concerns. So now, what are the other international voices saying about this? Boston Dynamics this week announced they would never weaponize any of their robots, but considering the Spot Mini Robodog is practically the blueprint model for the kind of drone we see in the show, it probably doesn't matter what they do anymore. The technology is out there, and other firms are not so bound by moral or ethical concerns about what could be done with the weapon. Several United States defense contractors have shown off similar prototypes of four-legged robotic weapons platforms. The Vision 60 unit is built by Ghost Robotics in the US and is described as a special-purpose unmanned rifle. This gun can fire out to an effective 1,200 meters or just under 4,000 feet. That's about 11 American football fields for those of us who aren't too familiar with metric, and wow, that's pretty long range. A Russian tinkerer once strapped a submachine gun to a Chinese drone and posted firing it online, showing deadly rate of fire if spotty accuracy and recoil handling. These events have really brought people together to talk about the future of warfare and what that looks like. Autonomous weapons systems in particular, not drones remotely controlled but acting entirely on their own to attack, are considered a serious risk to the future of sustainable peace, as a completely non-human force could now proceed to make war on its own. The defense towers on the DMZ between North and South Korea work similarly on the south side and will shoot anyone or anything approaching, matching the size and heat profile of a person even vaguely, regardless of whether they're an enemy soldier or fleeing refugee from the North's regime. The Holy See itself has chimed in. The Pope is saying the current autonomous systems debate and drone debate should be linked to an international conference. The Catholic Church can be seen as a leader on ethics and morality in certain parts of Europe and the global South, but this call is unlikely to sway Chinese or Russian developers. Now we ask, is the United States military considering using drones like this? We haven't seen the flying carriage approach deployed yet, but United States forces have already begun to utilize quadruped robots on regular operations. The 325th Security Forces Squadron at Tyndall Air Force Base was the first down in Florida in terms of forces under the Department of Defense, but they're only the beginning. They're only used for reconnaissance at the moment, and they have obvious utility. They can scout with their cameras and move swiftly, quietly, and at a low profile. You know what else has obvious utility though? Scouts with guns. With a weapon akin to the Vision 60's prototype, these doggos could go from goodest robo-boys to deadliest robo-killers. From snipers to assassins, gone are the days of needing to find human killers, because these robot dogs can be deployed via air, take a single computer-optimized shot, then fold up to the size of a backpack or incinerate themselves to destroy the evidence. We're looking at a major spectrum shift in warfare, and the United States isn't looking to be left behind. As the US moves into suicide drones like the Switchblade being shipped to Ukraine, they're clearly trying to optimize available tech for the modern battlefield. While many watchdog groups dislike the trend, the US military is bound to adopt armed ground drones sooner than later. The US already pioneered airborne drone warfare in a rash of bombing campaigns that has raised serious questions about the legality of such techniques and acceptable targets for these attacks, especially across international borders in peacetime. Until Congress bans this particular type of drone, they have no reason to view it any differently from an airborne drone that drops bottom. For the moment, both require pilots and are not yet autonomous weapon systems. But next, we must ask, how is the US responding to these international developments? developments. Uncle Sam might be investing in ever more drones, but they don't look so kindly upon China doing the same. A military contractor out of Shenzhen, DJI, has been added to a list with 13 other Chinese companies that are likely to bring down sanctions on them. DJI is the world's largest manufacturer of civilian drones, but the U.S. Defense Department is trying to blacklist them over alleged connections to the Chinese military. This blacklist status gives the United States president direct authority to impose sanctions against these companies. Any Chinese military connection is fair game. This announcement has come out after the U.S. Treasury Department banned any United States-based individual from trading shares of DJI or 7 other Chinese companies that are supposed to be involved in the contentious government actions in China's far western Xinjiang. The basis for this is not just military applications, but police state applications. The ruling Chinese Communist Party stands accused of cultural genocide against the Uyghur ethnic minority, a predominantly Muslim minority group in a country that functionally backs state atheism, with few sanctioned religious groups one may join. So now, what's the broader fallout surrounding technology firms, China and the US? The overall blacklist for these events is over 60 companies long, including the massive technology company Huawei and semiconductor manufacturer SMIC. Amidst a new technology and development race to be the premier manufacturer of semiconductors, some have called the latter move politically motivated. A Huawei executive was seized in the United States on fraud charges back in 2018 and released in 2021. This seriously infuriated China and strained relations with the United States and Canada. Some even blamed China for jailing Canadians in retaliation, a charge China vehemently denied. This situation ties back to another sanctioning, this time of Iran. A certain company known as Skycom was doing business with Huawei, and Miss Meng, the detained executive, allegedly misled major banking giant HSBC over the nature of their connection. This all goes to show that when it comes to technology and keeping ahead, most people are willing to bend, if not break, rules and restrictions. There's no confirmation Huawei ever ultimately cut ties with any other corporations over this event, and they are probably still doing backroom dealings with Iran through the United States. What does this have to do with the drones? Lastly, let's talk about the drone race. Semiconductors, microchips, AI experts, new and more aggressive pilot recruitment programs. Where does this all lead us? Right back to the drone race. As the 21st century really hits its stride 2 decades in, it's clear that semi and fully autonomous weapon systems will be key to achieving victory, as well as high-quality electronic warfare capabilities. The materials to produce and manufacture drones are spread across the global supply network, but the key manufactured element for all modern technology is the semiconductor. Anything with sophisticated capabilities will run off microchips. You can't have good drones without both. Global capacity for the production of 300mm chip fabrication is set to reach new highs by 2025. Giants like America's Intel and Taiwan's TSMC have long dominated the space, with China's SMIC operating as a partially state-owned but still publicly listed corporation and topping China's domestic chip-making charts. The key ingredient in any conflict or race between China and America over having the most drones and the most components for them is that a wide variety of foreign semiconductor companies operate their fabrication and design facilities in China. Due to the nature of their surveillance state, almost any of SK Hynix, TSMC, Samsung, UMC, Texas Instruments, Micron, or pre-2022 Intel chips are probably at the very least compromised for use in military tech. What do you think? Are the US and China racing off a cliff over the ability to make the smartest killer Robodog? Or is this whole conflict a sideshow to rake in investor cash and government grants? Comment your opinion, like, and subscribe for more.